November 1940, Haifa Harbor. The massive ocean liner Patria anchors quietly in the cold water, carrying over 1,700 desperate refugees fleeing Nazi persecution in Europe. Among them is David, a 28-year-old refugee who survived unimaginable horrors, praying this overcrowded vessel finally offers him a safe and permanent sanctuary. But British authorities refuse to let them land, issuing a brutal decree that will soon force every single passenger onto ships bound for remote Mauritius. Desperation grips the floating prison. The refugees know deportation means certain doom, trapping them once again in the deadly grip of the collapsing continent. High above deck, David gazes toward the distant shores of Palestine, watching British patrol boats circle the perimeter like armed guards watching a captured fortress. The underground defense organization known as the Haganah watches the standoff unfold with mounting alarm, realizing peaceful negotiations with the British Empire have utterly failed. They resolve to take matters into their own hands, launching a high-stakes clandestine operation designed to disable the Patria and halt the forced deportations permanently. The strategy is straightforward on paper. Blow a small hole in the engine room to keep the ship anchored safely in Haifa Harbor. Under the cover of darkness, sympathizers smuggle a small explosive device aboard, trusting the measured charge will cause controlled damage without threatening innocent civilian lives. David sits in the cramped, dimly lit lower corridor, listening to the muffled whispers of worried passengers unaware of the secret plan unfolding around them. Time ticks down relentlessly toward the scheduled morning departure, raising tensions to a breaking point as the Haganah operatives prepare to execute their fateful rescue mission. The explosive device is carefully placed against the inner hull near the engine room, timed to detonate before dawn while most passengers are asleep. In the quiet stillness of the harbor, a sudden blinding flash shatters the night, followed immediately by a thunderous roar that shakes the entire ship. The blast is catastrophically larger than anyone calculated, tearing open a massive gully in the steel hull and letting seawater rush inside uncontrollably. Panic erupts instantly. David is thrown from his bunk by the violent shockwave, choking on thick black smoke as emergency alarms begin screaming shrilly. Corridors fill with terrified people scrambling blindly in the dark, desperate to reach the upper decks, while icy water rapidly floods the lower compartments below. David fights his way up the narrow stairwell, using his wool coat to shield others from falling debris as the ship tilts dangerously to one side. Stepping onto the main deck, he witnesses pure chaos. Confusion reigns, lifeboats are jammed, and the ocean is alarmingly close to the rail. British soldiers on nearby vessels watch in shock, slowly mobilizing rescue cutters, while the crippled ship continues its agonizing, unstoppable plunge into the dark depths. David grabs a floating wooden crate, helping elderly passengers jump into the freezing water before the massive vessel takes its final fatal dive beneath the surface. Within minutes, the once proud ocean liner is completely submerged, leaving only a turbulent vortex of debris, oil, and struggling survivors in Haifa Harbor. Rescue boats pull freezing people from the water, but the human toll of this catastrophic miscalculation quickly becomes heartbreakingly clear to everyone. Over 250 innocent refugees and crew members perish in the freezing wreckage, turning a desperate rescue attempt into an unimaginable local catastrophe. David shivers wrapped in a rough woolen blanket on the dock, staring blankly at the dark water where hundreds of his fellow passengers just vanished. The Haganah leadership reels from the devastating outcome, realizing their noble intention to save refugees from Nazi camps resulted in a heartbreaking, self-inflicted mass tragedy. Questions echo through the underground network. How could a carefully measured sabotage operation miscalculate explosive power so drastically with such catastrophic, irreversible consequences? The survivors are eventually allowed to stay in Palestine, but their hard-won victory is forever stained by the immense grief of the lost lives. Decades later, the Patria disaster remains one of the most painful, controversial chapters in the complex history of pre-state underground resistance movements. Good intentions can never erase catastrophic mistakes, reminding history that even righteous resistance carries terrifying risks when violence is introduced to crisis. The ghosts of the Patria whisper across the waves, a haunting reminder of the tragic price paid by those caught between empires and underground wars. Discover the full story on Leave Us Alone. Drop a comment below with your thoughts, and share this video to keep forgotten historical tragedies remembered today.